Now, if you watched my video from SoCal Expo a couple weeks ago, I showed you the Dirtbox Overland transformer, but it wasn't on a Gladiator. So that's what I was interested in. So we came down here to take a look at it in person and show you more detail about what this thing is all about. So basically, we have a bed replacement, right?
That's correct, you got it.
So what would be the advantages of going to something like this?
Okay, so in general, the advantages of a flatbed or advantages of a flatbed, including the differences with the transformer?
The flatbed is a whole different beast into itself. And if you wonder, what is a flatbed? Well, you see those in some of the Australian videos and
call them
stuff.
trays.
Yeah, the trays.
Yes.
That's, you got a much higher bed height, right? With this being a true bed replacement, this level is stock height. So that's a big advantage, right? And then all the interior storage, we have the same width, right? But we have external storage. And these aren't little pockets. I mean, these, do you know what the width, depth of these is?
The depth of this guy, we're sitting at right now, that guy's probably sitting at close to 13 to 14. I like the term you used, bed replacement, because that is really a little bit more accurate for this setup. Because in the past, it's always been a flatbed or a tray. This, again, like you're pointing out, is basically the same dimensions except bigger than a typical bed. So yeah.
Now, because it is a stock bed dimensions inside, you could, if you wanted, a Project M or something slide-in camper, it's going to go right in this, right?
That's totally right. And with that slide-in camper, one thing we've provided is access to T-slots all the way through each run of the bed there. Those T-slots are basically part of the frame of the bed itself or the tray. Therefore, you can lock down anywhere you want instead of having just individual tie points. Now you could, it's not dictated by the location of our tie point. You could do it however your camper's going to fit in this guy.
So there's a couple other things that make this interesting. Maybe they're interesting to me, maybe they'll be interesting to you, is you lose your bumper because that's all integrated now. So that gives you a better departure angle, which is the Achilles heel of a Gladiator, right?
Yes.
And with that, you look at this and you're like, this thing has got to weigh a ton. But the reality is a Gladiator bed is steel. This is aluminum. So what are we looking at in terms of difference in weight?
So by the time you've got to incorporate, so this is where it gets a little tricky. This is where math comes in. So we have to remove on the Gladiator, the bed. If it's a spray and bed liner, there's weight with that. If it's a plastic bed liner, there's weight with that. We have the bumper and anything associated with that. One thing that we're gaining on this, so if it's just the bed, we're also gaining a headache rack, which is going to be a little bit. By the time all is said and done, you're gaining, I'm sure, probably 150 pounds is my guess, roughly. It's going to vary from the old series bed to the transformer flatbed. But what you're gaining is more volume, more space, the durability, better clearance, all those things. So you do gain a little bit of weight, but it's not nearly as much as what people would think.
Yeah, because you would think hundreds of pounds easy with this. And it's probably close to a wash at that point. So when someone is doing this, what does it take in terms of installation to get one of these on?
So the installation is a little bit on the tricky side. And really what makes it tricky is primarily the wiring. Every vehicle's different. Gladiator, luckily, is one of our favorites. So this is a pretty easy install. It's basically removal of your existing bed. Your backup camera has to get relocated. Your proximity sensor lights, not lights, but your
sensors,
parking sensors, that all has to get relocated. Quite frankly, those are the most complicated things. But then the other deal is that adds to complexity is the choice that you're going to make, because everyone is always going to run extra power to this. They're going to want to run more power here. They're going to run extra lights here. So that also comes into play. But if you're just going tit for tat of exchanging the bed, it's primarily parking sensors, taillight wiring, backup camera, and that's really the majority of it. And that's, I'd say that's it. So it's not too difficult for the Gladiator. Because we offer these beds for so many different vehicles, we've got different frame options that just differ slightly. In fact, Jeep is, I guarantee this year, this is going to be different than a year or two before. So we generally will have a dealer do the install for this, and we also like doing the install here at Couch Off-Road in case when that truck came in, something on the CAD drawing that was supposed to fit that didn't quite line up. We could go ahead and fab those changes right here and there. But if it was just everything fit, it's actually quite easy. But that's, you know, that's about half the time we get that lucky.
I would say going to an installer or bringing it here is the way to go, because like I would want it spec'd a certain way. I'm like, okay, I want my compressor in one of these outside doors. Well, that means wire has to be run all the way up to the battery. You know, I want my electronics package back here for all my cooking, my heaters, my lights and all that. I want that back here. So that's more wiring that have to be done. And it looks like it would be easier to cut some holes in this before it's installed.
You nailed it. You nailed it. Yeah. Run the heavy stuff underneath while it's in the air. Put it up through there before we put all the skirting, we like to call it, where all the boxes are around it. 100%. Get that done. And if you guys, so this is the ultimate DIYer. This is the ultimate do-it-yourselfer, because once you've got this on, think about this. Every time we drill a hole, and I cry if I have to drill a hole in my Gladiator bed to run a wire and run a grommet. It's going to rust. It's going to this, and then it's what happens if I sell it? This thing doesn't care. It's all aluminum. Pop a hole anywhere you want. It isn't going to rust. Run a grommet. Do whatever you need to. And if you don't want that, plug a plastic cap in it. I mean, if you look at mine, which is years old and all sorts of iterations through it, if you look real close, you're going to see plugs all over where I've reset the recipe over and over. So this one,
I know that feeling.
Yeah, exactly. You learn as you learn, you earn and you learn. So this is absolutely that setup. Probably the most dangerous thing with the tray or the flatbed is your possibilities of adding so much stuff is endless. Like it just keeps going on and on. And that also comes into the whole weight thing that you were just asking me about. Your weight gain is minimal, but you're gonna be heavy because you're gonna be able to carry so much more stuff. You'll be able to mount things. The other beautiful thing that I didn't touch base on is with the flatbed setup, because of all the storage integrated into this unit, you could leave your gear in it all the time because it's already tucked and out of the way. Your tools are always there, your recovery gear is already there, and you still have full use of it, where on my typical bed, I have a bag here and a bag there and it's in the way and I have to stuff things here, put a molly panel there.
Exactly what I have to do on the JL.
Yep. So what ends up happening is I end up getting heavier anyway. So what you do is you build your suspension to accommodate the weight that you're going to be at. You know, that's really the reality. So I'll build my suspension with a stiffer spring rate. So when this bed is on my vehicle and I have my recovery gear and my stuff that stays on it 24/7, that's my riding height. I'll go ahead and add an airbag setup somewhere else if needed, if I'm going to load it really heavy and I don't want the thing squatting too much. But generally speaking, especially with the Gladiator, there's so many spring manufacturers out there that do such a great job of good coil springs. You don't even have to worry about that.
Yeah, I think for me, not necessarily being able to carry more stuff, it's just move the stuff that I'm carrying. Take all the stuff that I have in my drawer and stuff, move it to the outside, opening up this space so I can have a sitting area. Yes. So I can have that interior living space for these long trips that we've done. When you got to hunker down out of the weather, you can have a nicer space because there's more room to work with it here. That, to me, is a big plus of something like this. Huge. Now let's talk about what goes on top. Now, for me, I have the Dirtbox Overland Canopy system. Drop right on, right? Piece of cake. Now, what I've noticed is mine attaches to the interior bed rails on the Gladiator. Would you just take those same type of rails and mount them in here for that?
We'll take the rail. It's going to basically attach, so it will get ordered for that. So this is going to get switched up a little bit the way it locks in. So we are still going to tie into that factory extrusion that runs around the perimeter of your canopy camper, and that will integrate onto this, which is actually going to have a little workaround to some framework on this guy. So you're right, it will be a drop-on unit that will basically fit all that. The only major difference is going to be the rear door, because we'll have a tailgate, and then you also have the tailgate that's on your canopy camper. So that'll be a split setup like so.
Okay, are you going to move to something to remove the tailgate and maybe have barn door option?
If you do, so we can do the barn door option, except we have to redesign everything that goes up into the top there, and we can do that. The only reason I'm not as keen for the barn door setup is how often have you been out in camp and the sun's beating down on you like it is right now, and you've got that little bit of your awning, or if it's a little sprinkling, because that's coming, when you flip up our tailgate door, it's out about here.
Yep.
Rain never comes straight down, it always comes this way. So with that barn door option, I've just noticed that I'm blazing heat or I'm getting material, all sorts of stuff in here. And then we have to change so much stuff. We kind of question if it's worth it. We do offer a barn door option on the pass-through Canopy camper, but that's because we have to put the spare tire on the side out towards the back.
Okay.
So, but it's a very small opening to get in there. So that is something that will be discussed in the future. If we have enough people that want it, we can. But I looked at it. I love the look of the barn door setup on there. I think it's just neat to be able to open up half of it. But whenever we've implemented it on other rigs I've had, I lose my little baby awning. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, on the Gladiator, we've never been able to put the Genesis camper on there before because it was just too big. Now, the main difference between the Canopy that I have and the Genesis is bigger, it's longer, it's wider, and instead of being a single clamshell, it's a front scissor as well.
Yes.
So you get a lot more interior space.
Yes.
Now, there is a big weight penalty for that, right, though?
Yep, there is. It's significantly heavier because, the tent bed itself is 10 feet long. It's massive, which provides you a massive pass-through. The other thing is the Genesis is a 5-layer insulated setup. And the fabric is extraordinarily heavy compared to the other one. Our Genesis Canopy camper is literally one of the heaviest fabrics in the industry. This is a touch heavier than that. So the Genesis is not so much a canopy camper as much as it is an actual almost slide-in RV minus the slide-in RV. So it's full commitment, but one thing, there's so many different things. You'll probably have to look at the Genesis video to kind of compare the two. But with that Genesis, besides that front slide up, that scissor that kicks up, giving you that auxiliary window, the bedding is nicer. It's more insulated. We've got indirect lighting. We've got touchscreen controls. We've changed the extrusions. It's actually stronger than even the other unit, which is ridiculous. We don't need to go that strong. We have a unit at Dirtbox with a huge tree that fell on it. Proof. It would have just destroyed the truck, but barely ding that. The Genesis is like luxury camping. It makes it super comfortable. If you've got a significant other that doesn't really like to rough it, that's it. I mean, we were down at one of the trade shows down near, it was Austin, Texas. We had a Hilton something, blah, 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 blah. Quite honestly, me and the girlfriend were like, we'd rather stay in the Genesis that on the truck we brought with us. It's more comfortable in my Genesis than it was in this hotel. Bathroom was way better in the hotel, though. I will give it that.
I would imagine that. Yeah. Now, let's get back to some of the details, which are some of the things I love about Dirtbox. These handles. So as you close them, we'll show you, they're compression. So as you turn them, that's going to pull that shell or that door tighter, yep, giving you that dust seal. So that to me is huge. I mean, they're not just simple latches. They're going to pull that in, keep the dust out. That's super cool. And I would imagine, just like on my Canopy, standard feature, locking latches on here. So not an upgrade. They're, again, going back to why I went with a Dirtbox Canopy in the first place, is there were no options. Everything was there. The electronics were there, the lights were there, the locks were there, all the T-track was there. All the stuff that I would want to add on to anything else was already there, which would have ended up costing way more going with some other product. So these are just little details that I love. Pulls that in tight, keeps the dust out. So what do we have? I mean, we've got like 3 panels over here. Yep. So one above the wheel. Mm-hmm.
Baby one there. And then you've got this, and that one adorable. So you got this cute little one here, big stuff there, and then your dirty stuff down here. This is usually where I'll keep my recovery gear. So I'll put all sorts of gear in there. You can add a shelf to it if needed and whatnot, but it's a pretty nice setup. The other thing too, so this is pretty stout. On the old series Dirtbox tray flatbed, I actually nailed that thing on a boulder and I just scraped it really good, but never actually told it out. We had another gentleman with a Toyota who wiped out his rear corner. We were able to replace just his rear corner because it was more modular than a fully welded unit.
Yeah, no, I like that. And now there's other brands on the market already. One thing I didn't like about those is they generally have a single piece door all the way across. Mm-hmm. Being able to have 2 panels here keeps things isolated. It's more compact for one side, and it adds to the stiffness because you have a piece here that's adding to that structural integrity versus having nothing all the way across. Seems like that would flex a lot more.
Fully agreed. It's super stout, tough. And part of the reason for that is we've got our divider through here, because think about it, we designed this to be able to handle the Genesis Canopy camper on this bad boy. So we've got a lot more crushing force. Now your static load is pretty high. Put that into motion and the rock's swinging all over, it gets amplified even more. So that is another reason for segmenting those storage compartments.
I love that. Now, we're talking about this on the Gladiator. At the show, we saw it on, I don't remember, Tundra?
Tundra probably,
in,
yep.
In SoCal. What
or Taco, maybe it was Taco, I don't remember.
What platforms is this available for?
So currently, Jeep. We did one for an F450. I think we've done one for an F350 and F250 for sure, the Tremor. The 450, you start falling into the realm of custom stuff too, but we will go ahead and offer a standard lineup for, of course, the Gladiator, of course, the F250, 350, maybe the 450 cabin chassis, but that gets kind of weird. We'll probably offer it for Toyota as well, Tacoma, Generation 3 Tacoma for sure, Generation 4, we'll see. Maybe we will on that one. So everything will be kind of depending on what you want. If you want this unit, we don't already have it, and we have a couple other people that shown interest, we'll go ahead and design it and build it for it.
What are we talking about price range? I know that's probably going to vary depending on bed length and everything else, but
it
kind of ballpark?
It is. With you've got the option of these versus just the flat, it's all over the place. It could be from 16 to 24,000 is really where those ranges are. It could be even higher if you go to the full 8-foot on that guy. I cannot recall. I got to see what the price was for this one as it's equipped, because this one is going to go on somebody's flatbed here pretty soon. Hopefully me.
Oh,
or you.
You're going to move me. Oh,
one of the two.
Somebody's going to get one.
Hopefully
right?
The two of us. I already got one, but mine's old.
I definitely want something like this because of being able to move my storage outside, making room for real living space inside. I think for someone who's trying to build an overland rig for extended trips, not your weekend warrior, this doesn't make sense, you know? Yeah. I mean, you can deal with anything for a weekend, but if you're gonna be doing 2, 3, 5 week, 8-week trips, being able to build something inside of this to give you more comfortable living space, yeah, I think this is an awesome.
Here's an interesting one. This turns your Jeep into not just a toy, it's a freaking work wagon. We have we actually have we've ordered full close-offs through here, oxy settling tank holders, stuff for welders, all your tool carrying supplies. This is, because think about it, you're either driving around in a 1-ton pickup truck that you can't fit anywhere, go to an F-150 or a Tundra, it's the same balloon trying to get everywhere. Your freaking Gladiator gets all over you. Say you have a Taco. This is your ultimate mini work truck, full-on mobile workstation. And if you put the camper on top of it, you don't lose any of your workability. In fact, if anything, you've increased it because now you're completely covered. No one's going to steal anything. And what's better on a hot summer's day than a mobile AC unit on the top of taking a nap in your Canopy camper?
Amen. Amen. So, if it's something you're looking for, check them out at dirtboxoverland.com. I would love to have a full review on my Gladiator at some point, but we'll see how that goes. All right, Jay, thanks for your time, man. Always appreciate it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay safe out there. We'll see you on the trails.